Welcome back, guys. Finally here, monkey face to review the iPhone X. 10, I mean. Before we go any further, listen to this, something that Johnny Ive said to us in a previous interview.
I think there is a profound and enduring beauty in simplicity, in clarity, in efficiency. True simplicity is derived from so much more than just the absence of clutter and ornamentation. It's about bringing order to complexity.
So taking from what Johnny is saying, Apple's vision has always been, in fact, I have been asking for this for a long time myself, is a simple phone, an uninterrupted sheet of glass. And that's exactly what they've done. For the very first time, I actually believe they've taken that leap, taken the headphone jack off, taken the home button off to make things look beautiful. And you can't deny, this phone does look beautiful. On the subject of beautiful, and you've just seen the little intro that Apple have got, which makes the screen look amazing, which it is. I want to touch a couple of things that I'm not so keen on. And you'd be surprised on what I am actually not very happy about. It's not the notch, because actually after a few moments you kind of forget that that's there. It doesn't interrupt your browsing. You barely lose any screen real estate because of it. And it's not even the fact that the bezels are actually a little bit bigger than what you'd expect them to be, but it's in fact the camera bump. I mean, guys, look at this. It's actually bigger than the iPhone 7 or 8 Plus camera. I mean, on a smaller handset, it's actually really predominant, and it's actually an eyesore. I think Apple think this is a design feature. For me, it just isn't. For those of you that did watch my last video of 5 reasons why you should buy the iPhone 8 and 5 reasons you shouldn't, up here on the left, and you did choose to wait for the iPhone 10, you're actually thinking, what's the difference between the two of them? Actually, I'm going to compare it a little bit more to the iPhone Plus, because it's actually a little bit closer that way. The difference between the two is that they've got exactly the same CPU in there, they've got exactly the same camera setup, dual lens, except for the telephoto lens, which is 12 megapixel and 2.4 f-stop aperture, which basically means it lets in more light and also is optical image stabilized. And what that basically will do, actually, I tell you what, just watch this side-by-side comparison to the iPhone 8 Plus of me just walking, and you can see that the video on the right is so much more shaky. And that's what optical image stabilization will allow you to do. And also, for night shots, that'll make a big difference. The second thing about on the cameras is that the front-facing cameras, along the line with all of those array of beautiful sensors and all that stuff that Apple was taunting you about, is the fact you can now do portrait with the front-facing camera. Here's a couple of shots that I've done. It doesn't have the same results as the rear camera, but it's getting there. It's still on beta, I believe it is, so it's going to get better. But at least all of those selfies are going to look great. Comparisons done. Why did you wait? I'll tell you what, why would you wait for this phone? Apart from the fact that you got the OLED screen, which is absolutely gorgeous, very well balanced, there's barely any color shifting on it whatsoever. It's brighter than what you think it might be. At 50%, I put it side by side with my iPhone Plus, and it's clearly brighter. And of course, Face ID, I'm not completely sold, is a complete replacement for Touch ID, but it hasn't failed on me once. Dark, with sunglasses on, hat on. I had my beard longer a little while ago and I trimmed it and it recognized me all the same. So I'm very happy with that, and it's just as fast in most situations. Also, one of the things I do like about Face ID is how notifications will only give you a preview once the phone is aware you're looking at it. As you can see in this video that I've just shown you. It's really quite nice, and it adds another level of privacy that otherwise you would have to put a setting. But convenience-wise, it's not as convenient as just pressing the button or touching the Touch ID to quickly have a glance, especially if the angle you're looking at your phone is less than ideal for Face ID to pick you up. Of course, with making things simple, and removing the home button, which I'm sure most of you are going to be thinking, how on earth are we going to navigate through iOS? Well, here we have swipe gestures. You swipe up to go back to your home screen, you swipe and hold to get to multitasking. It's all very clever, but to be fair with you, I don't really like it. No. Not that I'm missing the home button, I just don't know. It just feels a little bit, rough around the edges. Along with that is the fact that the OS still hasn't been completely optimized for the screen. If you look on iMessage, for instance, there's a massive amount of space missing at the bottom. Most applications are still not optimized for the screen size. When you're watching videos, for instance, if you were to do the video on normal aspect ratio, it actually looks identical to the iPhone 8 size until you punch it in, at which point then you got the bump kind of taking some of your screen. However, my biggest reason why I'm not so keen on the way things are displayed is but not only because of the aspect ratio we have here. With the iPhones of 8 and 8 Plus, wanting the 16:9 aspect ratio. With the iPhone X, see, I did it again. Everyone calls it X, but it's actually 10. With the iPhone 10, it's an 18:9 aspect ratio, which makes it look a little bit squashed up. And I actually mentioned this on my iPhone, on my Note 8 video, which I wasn't crazy about the aspect ratio with that as well. Of course, we saw my host, monkey face, and that's basically an emoji, which is great fun, but like most things, the novelty wears out pretty quickly. I think I've used it once or twice. Everyone that I've shown it was in love with it and was pulling all sorts of funny faces to the phone. However, like most things on iMessage that you don't end up using them very often, and they kind of go into the background. So I don't think there will be a sellout feature for it. Fun nevertheless though. The screen is obviously, probably, most likely, actually, definitely the one reason why you didn't want to buy the old phones. And I don't blame you. But this is where we kind of see Apple's stubbornness of not following what everybody else is doing. I mean, look at the resolution they've gone for. I actually have to read this because it's such an awkward resolution that I have to read it out. There's 2,436 pixels by 1,125, other than the usual resolution that every other manufacturer's gone for. And that gives them a 458 ppi, which is pretty good. Not as high as the Galaxy Note, but let me tell you something. This is by far the sharpest screen I have now seen on an iPhone. The color representation is really good. The viewing angles is actually quite bizarre because when you look at it, it's almost as if they stuck something on it. It doesn't look like you're looking into the screen. The screen is so close to the edge. It's bizarre. It's absolutely beautiful and definitely worth waiting for. Earlier in the video, you've heard me say that Apple actually has got 2 batteries inside the iPhone X, and that's actually quite genius because it's a different way of really utilizing the limited amount of space you have, and that basically gives Apple an additional 2 hours on this phone over the iPhone 8. It's almost the same as the Big Thighs Plus, and in my experience, I've only had the phone for a couple of days, and in my experience, it's about the same. I mean, I still end up both days with like 30-35% battery of moderate usage, so battery life is pretty good. But I also have to say, I might get it better if you leave auto brightness on, which I actually turned off. Every phone that I use, I turned that off because I want my brightness at 50%. I don't want it to change, and you might get better results if you leave auto brightness on. Was it worth the wait? And you know what, that's actually a really hard one because for a number of years, when the 6 came out, I said I wanted my screen to be a little bit bigger, maybe a 5-inch screen. And now we have a 5.8-inch screen. I said on the iPhone Plus models that I could just do with the bezels removed on the top and the bottom. We have that now. I said we don't need a home button for the past couple of years. We haven't got a home button anymore. So you'd think that I would be like ranting and raving about this phone. I'd be like going, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. And indeed, it's probably the boldest move that Apple has done in about 4 years. But I do feel like Apple have had to rush this a little bit. I mean, it's common knowledge now that this phone actually wasn't due to come out until next year. I do think that they've kind of been cornered into doing something drastic, because even all of these fans, Apple fans, often referred to as sheep, I know, they were getting a bit tired of seeing all other manufacturers coming out with beautiful screens, better specs, etc., and Apple kind of falling behind a little bit. But the truth is that Apple is now back in the game. Back in the game. This phone is very much 2017. Be used to this look. If you don't like the notch, don't buy the phone. That's what it's going to be for the next 2 to 3 years, I guarantee you. Is it worth an additional £150 over the iPhone 8? For me, I would have preferred to have gone with a bigger size screen. So the iPhone 8 Plus screen on this setup, I would have been more than happy. But if you are someone with an iPhone 6 and you want more screen without sacrificing size, this is about perfect. So I have to give it a thumbs up. I can't really not give it a thumbs up. It looks beautiful. Stainless steel wrapped around, glass front to back, wireless charging. It's got everything you wanted an iPhone to ever have. So of course it's a thumbs up. Of course, Apple Care with the iPhone is more expensive as well. But if you want great service, you don't necessarily just have to speak to Apple. Speak to Telco, who is the people who actually have provided me this handset. So a big shout out for these boys. They're forever providing great service. If you want anything telephony related, like you want the new iPhone, then give them a shout. I'm going to put a link below. And if you did get to know about them as a result of watching this video, make sure you tell them that that's what you find them from. And also, don't forget to subscribe. And I can't get my words out today, but yeah, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to press the like, because like really tells me that you're liking this video. And I'll catch you guys at the next one.